Okay, time's up. So, hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. And today's webinar's topic is going to be the MTG routine maintenance training course. So today we will focus on the daily maintenance of the MTG device. This course will guide you through three key parts. The first is how to track the MTG system in running normally, and the second is how to track and troubleshoot the PSTN line status. And the third is how to check the SIP trunk status. These are the most practical skills for daily operation. And by the end of the training, you will be able to like the first, you can check the overall running status of the MTG status. And the second, you can check and identify the PSTN line status and the labs. And the third is you can check the SIP trunk status and the registration status. So let's take a look at today's agenda. We have 4 chapters, and the first is how to check the status of the MTG. And the second is how to check the PSTN line status in MTG. And the third is how to check the SIP trunk status in MTG. And the last, we will talk about how to capture and get the log of the MTG. So we will go step by step in a clear and logical order. Okay, now let's start with chapter 1, how to check the status of MTG. This is the first step of daily maintenance. So we need to confirming the device, the MTG is healthy, right? And first, let's check the system information. Like we need to go into the system information, just like the front page. And here we can take a simple look at the page status information. You need to check these key items like the CPU temperature and usage to avoid overheating or high loads. And the second is you need to check the network port working mode to confirm the network is normal. And the third, you need to check the system uptime. Like here, we can know how it works, how long it works of the MTG. So we need to check the whether the device has started or unexpectedly. We can from the system after time. And the fourth is we need to check the license fidelity and the remaining times. We can need to check this license page, this license item. And the last, we need to check the slave card communication. As we can see, it's the MTG 2000B. And we will need to each have 2 MCU. So we can also check the master card and the slave card communication at here. So we can find this success. It means the optimum. It means the status is normal, right? Okay, so this page shows the basic operating status of the whole device. Next, let's check the DTU module status. And we need to go to the DTU status page. And here you can view first, like whether the DTU card status is active, right? We can see the status. And also we can check the DSP status and the license quantity here. And also like the card temperature and the idle channels and DSP cap information. Okay, so here is the questions. What's the DSP cap? So DSP caps means the capacity of the MTG, which it can handle the calling. Like we all know we have the transfer call, we have the transcode call, right? And we all know the transcode call will consume much DSP source, right? So the DSP cap is the capacity of the MTG. It's the ability to handle the call. So here we can check the DSP cap to see the status of the MTG. And also, as mentioned earlier, if we can check the RTP port here, it's on the DTU. We can find the port range here, x61, 44, and to 66 and 56, right? So here we like scenarios like the firewall. We will have the firewall, right? If firewall port mapping is required, so the corresponding ports need to be opened on the firewall. We all need to let the RTP ports to be open, right? So we don't or otherwise we will gather no no audio, right? No audio issue, right? So we can check the RTP port here. Okay, now that we have learned how to check the MTG system status, let's move on to the chapter 2, how to check the PRC line status in MTG. So chapter 2 focuses on PRC line maintenance, including like E1, T1, PRI, SF7, and auto chunks. This is critical for stable voice service. First, check the physical E1, T1 line status. We can check into the E1, T1 status page. Also, it's under the status and statics page. So you must understand these alarms and like the loss alarm, the II alarm, and the AIS alarms, the ISDN SS7 signal alarm, and activated. And we can also see the status here, symbolize the status of the MTG, the E1, T1 status. So the LOS alarm red, and we can see it will be the red, the color is the red, right? So it means the physical line is disconnected. And the II alarm, so it's we can see it's yellow, the yellow color, right? So it means the device can't receive data from the remote end. Like here, we can find like this event status, and we can find the status just green, so it's activated, right? So here we can find like the PRI link status, we can find the send frames and the receive frames. It need to be closed. So this link is established. Okay, so let's take a look at the AIS alarm. So it has the blue colors. So the remote, it means the remote end has not activated service state. Can find this. But actually in daily lives, we all mostly we just meet the LS alarms and the II alarms a little AIS alarm. And also like this, the next, the ISDN SS7 signal alarms, the orange alarms. And it indicates that the SS7 and PRI chunk setup failed, right? Yes, so it hadn't been successfully established. So it's orange alarms. And in the daily lives, we just meet most probably the LS alarm, the red, the yellow, and the orange. And here is the last the alarms activated. So it just shows the green. It means the SS7 and the PRI link is successfully established. Okay, then we check the PSTN chunk link status. We need to go to the PSTN chunk status here. And to check we can find the PRI link status here and the SS7 link status. So here you can check all three types of the E1, G1 parameters. You can check the PRI, check SS7 and the R2. So confirm whether the signaling link is established to ensure a normal service. Okay, great. So we have finished the PRC line checking. Now let's enter the chapter 3. how to track the SIP trunk status in MTG. So chapter 3 is about the SIP trunk maintenance, which is used for connection with IMS. You all know the IMS, the operators, and the IPPBX. So there are two key pages for SIP status tracking. Like the first, we need to track the IP trunk status, and it's also we need to get the IP trunk status page and verify the SIP trunk. SIP trunk link is normal. And the second, we need to check the SIP registration. We can find the registration status on the SIP registration status page. And we need to confirm that all SIP accounts are registered successfully. And we can find here, the SIP account is registered, right? And it's on the page of the status and statics. It's all we can view this page for the status of the MTG. And we can find here, I just create a SIP trunk and the link status shows it's established. And also we can find here, I got a SIP registration, SIP count registration, like in daily lives, we need to register to the IMS. And here we can find the registration status is false. It means it's not registered, right? Okay, let's just get a package. Okay, now we move to the most important part for troubleshooting, the chapter 4, the capture and log. So chapter 4, capture and log, we will learn how to use package capture and log collection to locate the faults. And as a daily lives, we all need the capture or the log to locate the issue, right? So here we can find the real issue and how to solve it. So first, we need to take a look at the network capture. So mostly we just use the network captures for core, like the registration failure. And is frequently we just use capture, the network capture. And we need to go to the maintenance page and get it into the network captures. And we can set the default settings to custom and click start, and we just reproduce the problem. It's like the registration failure or call failures. And when we finish the calls or just check the status of the register, we just click the stop and the browser will download the capture file. And also we have the RTP captures. So it's also it's also important in our daily lives, like when we just encounter like the one-way audio or no sound issues, we need to check the RTP captures. And we can go to the, it is at the page of the network captures, and we need to set the default settings to RTP specials and select the corresponding DTU. And start reproduce the problem and then stop and download. So here we need to say that, and here we choose the DTU 0, and all the calls on the DTU 0 will be recorded here. And I need also to say that we can also to capture the RTP flow in the network captures. We need to get into the maintenance page and click into the network captures. And here we just capture the network capture, right? And also, if here we choose the DTU, like the DTU 0 or DTU 1, we also can capture the RTP flow. And we don't need to just like choose the RTP special default settings to get the DTU or to get the RTP flow. So this is also an option here for you to choose. Okay, so let's get back its tones. And here is also the PCM capture. The PCM capture is for the E1 voice quality issues. It's also can be like you can also check it for the one-way audio or no sound issues. As we all know, the E1 or the T1 lines is a like it's a PSTN line, right? So we all for the PSTN line, so we just have the PCM captures, and here we can find the stage to get the PCM capture here. So first we need to also to go to the maintenance page. Actually, they are the same page, right? And we need to set the default settings to PCM only and select the E1 port, and we can find here, we can choose all the TS, right? So, and we just start and reproduce the problems, then start and download. It's the same way with the IP captures and the network captures, but we can find the PCM captures like in the status, like it's the interactions with the PSTN line, the E1 T1 lines. So for the audio issue with the PSTN lines, we need to get the PCM capture. Okay, let's move on. So the next we need to uh learn how to get the file log. So next first we need to enable the file log, and we can find it need to get into the management parameters page and enable that file log configurations. It has the option, right? And we need to enable the file log options in advance. And after that, we just enable the file log. We need to, and here we can find it have a lot of types, right? And mostly we just need a signal log. So we just choose the signal log here. And also here we can choose the signal type, the SAFE, the SS7, the PRI, and CC. Mostly we just choose one of these, SS7 and PRI, we just choose one of them. It's enough. And we also need to pay attention here. We need to choose a level. The file log level needs to be debug. So the debug means it have more complete and a more important message in the file log. It can make us to check the issues more exactly. Okay, and after enable the parameters, we just need to reproduce the problems like here, we just it's also the same way with the captures. We need to reproduce the problems, and after reproduce the problems, and we just get into the data downloads and get the signal log here. Yes, we don't need to like the captures. We need to start and stop, and it will download automatically. So here we just reproduce the problems and compress the signal logs and download them. So here is also an advantage of the file log. Okay, next we will talk about the user operation log. Sorry, the exception and the system log. For device crash or unreachable problems like download, system log, and exceptions, just like the unreachable problems, it can't be accessed or just restart by itself. And so we need to get the system log and exception log from the data download. Actually, the same way with the signal log, right? We need to download the system log and exception log. And the next, we need to check the user board, check the user operation log. So here we can find a user operation log also in the data downloads. So when a device its configuration is changed, so we can check, we can download the user operation log to view all configuration modification records. Like actually the data downloads, the user operation files have a lot of records like the web login. We all know which one logging the web and what the configuration it makes. We all can see the user operation file. And also the user board logs. So for user board registration failure or automatical restart of the user board, or just like abnormal status, we need to download the user board logs of the corresponding board from the date downloads page here. And here we have a lot of user board logs. It means the different DTU. Okay, so next we will check another ways like the trace log by the telnet. Actually, we usually we just need use the signal log in the data download, but for some old types of the MTG, it don't have the data download for signaling log. So in these ways, we need to trace the log by telnet. And first, we need to enable the access control of the telnet, like the G0 and G1. But it's also all types of this MTG. Like we can see in the here in the access control of the MTG, we even don't have the telnet option for the network port. So it's just for all types of the MTG. And it also can capture the real-time log. So while this way, the telnet way. And we can trace log by this ways, like we need to get into the telnet of the MTG. And we need to input this command. So we can find here, we have two types of the debug commands based on your protocol, like the PRI or SS7, right? So for the PRI, you need to like input this command, the save, the CC details, and the Q931 details. And for the SS7s, you need to, it's also the same way as the save and CC. But it's the difference is here. We need to debug the SS7's type. And we can also find the file log here. We can find it's also the same ways we need. Here we just collect the type, the SIP type, the SIP signal, and the SS7 signal, the PI signal, and the CC signal. So it's just the same way with the file log, but it's just for the all types of the MTG. Okay, let me show you just a simple demo here about this way of the trace log by telnet. So first we need to get into the telnet of the MTG. And we all know we can access the SSH first and get into the telnet then. And we can find we have already enabled the access control for the SSH, right? And the account will be the root and the passwords will be the web passwords. Sorry. Okay, now we get into the SSH of the MTG. Now we need to get into the telnet of the MTG. You just include the AOS command to like transfer it to SSH and to the AOS, the telnet. And we just followed this page. We need to get into the config mode. Sorry, we need to enable it right. And get into the config mode. And just input this command. Sorry. Zip message all. And debug the CC details all. And we need also to debug, I use the SS7 for the test. So we just debug the SS7s and the according port. Okay, and we just get into the ADA mode to check it. So first we need to turn on the 27. So actually we can also need to say we can check the turn on command in here. So it means the different commands and the different outputs. Also, we can also just like the you can just like get this command in advance and we just input it. Is that's okay? So we need to turn on. Sorry, I just turned on before. I just show you here. Turn on the 71s and 96. And for this, we just use a telnet ways of the trace log, and we can see we just we can find like here. Here we get a same message. We can find is a registered message, right? It was my SIP account, the registered message. And also, I create a test environment here. Like I use the SIP font and UC, and also I to MTG. Sorry, the network seems issue. H. And I create a SIP trunk with the UC. So the code will be changed will be changed to the MTG. And also we can find the E1 T1 status, the PIs. I connect with this MTG. So the code will be transferred to this MTG. And after that, I create a SIP trunk with my another SIP phone, the IBM. And when we make a calls, like, and another SIP phones will receive the calls. And also we can find a lot of like SS7C message and the CC message here and the SIP message. So here is a way about the trace the signaling log of the MTG. Okay, let's get back to our PowerPoint. So let's summarize today's trainings, what we have learned today. So first, we learned how to track the MTG system and the DTU status. And second, we learned how to track the PSEN line alarms, like the five Scalos alarms, right? And the trunk status, like the SIP trunk and the registration status. And the last, we used how to use a packet capture and file log. And we also learned how to use a telnet for the file log recording, right? So that includes our MTG routine maintenance training. And if you have any questions, please contact us. Okay, let's move to the next part of the MTG troubleshooting. So this topic is troubleshooting. In this training, we will focus on the most common faults in daily MTG usage, like mainly include the three major types of problems. So first, the no ring back comes related to faults and the solutions. And the second, all kinds of the code failure problems and troubleshooting methods. And the third, we will talk about the device logic failure or troubleshooting. So after learning this course, you can quickly locate and solve these typical faults on site. And let's take a look at the course objectives. So after finish this training, you will be able to first troubleshoot and solve no ring back time problems. And the second, analyze and handle virus code failures. And the last, we can quickly locate and fix the device logic failure issues. So here we will talk about these these normal issues when we encounter in the daily lives, and you can check it by yourself. And the contents of this course is divided into the three chapters. And the chapter 1 is ring back sums, problems and solutions. Chapter 2, problems and solutions for calling. And chapter 3 is the problems and solutions for login. So we will learn one by one in order. And now let's start with the chapter 1, the ring back time problems and solutions. So we will teach you how to check and fix no ring back time faults step by step. So first, when there is no ring back times, first we need to check the IP profile configuration. We need to get into the IP group config and check the IP profile. And we can find there are mainly two settings here. The one is a ring back time to PSTN originated from, and the other is ring back time to IP originated. So there are three types or three methods to choose. The locals means the MTG plays the ring time locally, and the IP means played by the SIP server. And adaptive, we also have the adaptive options. Adaptive is automatically negotiated by the device. So we can adjust these options according to the actual networking environment. Okay, and we can also to build a log. We can get a signal log here. If the configuration is normal, so we can get a system log or the signaling log for analysis. So we need to confirm 2 points. So first, whether the MTG has received the ring signal from the E1 line. And the second, check whether the MTG itself sends out the ringback charm or forwards the ring signal normally. So by analyzing the log message, we can clearly judge which link is abnormal. Actions have different tracking focuses. And if it's a IP to a PSTN call, so we capture to track whether the ringback is sent to the SIP server. And if it's the PSTN to IP call, we need to check whether the MTG receives the ringback from the remote site. And if it's a IP to IP, it's site. Yes, so we need to, and the MTG have this filter, it can play it by itself or just transparent the play time by the remote site. And also we need to besides the RTP capture, we can also use the PCM captures as the E1 line is a PSN line, right? So mainly we use for the E1 line for the related ringback faults. And there are also two directions, like the IP to PSTN. We need to capture to track if MTG receives the ringtone from the E1 line. And the PSTN to IP, we need to track whether MTG sends ringtone to E1 line normally. PCM capture can directly view voice stream data on E1 trunk. So we all know like the PCMs is the E1, the stream data of the E1 trunk, and the RTP data is a data of the like the network. So we need to check two ways, like the RTP captures and also the PCM captures. Okay, let's move to the chapter 2. Chapter 2 will focus on common core failures, including IMS legislation failures and E1 port abnormals, the PRI and SS7 link faults, and signaling core exceptions. So first common fault, the IMS account registration failure. We all need to register IMS account to IMS to get the service provided by the IMS, right? So first, we need to check the configuration item by item, like the remote address. You can check the SIP trunk remote address and the outbound proxy from head and the call mode. And we also need to check the SIP count username and the authentication ID and passwords, and expire time usually set like 1000 and 1800 or 3600 seconds. And for the search, we use the ping and the chain search to test the network, confirm routing is correct. We need to and we can find here, we just fill in the domain name of the IMS to the remote address, and it also have the outbound proxy for the server, right? And we need to ping the server or just chat search the server to check it's unreachable or reachable. And here we can also get a packet captures if the configuration is correct, but still fails to register to the IMS. We need to get the capture packets. And here are the steps. We need to get into the network capture page and choose. It's also the same way we talked in the last training, we just get the network captures. And here we have a point to attentions. You need to disable the account first and then enable the account again to let it register. Or otherwise you can't catch the register message. And here I just show you a demo about it. Like here we created the zip trunk. Oh, sorry, I guess the wrong MTG. We created the zip trunk for IMS and we create a zip account here. And we just put it into the maintenance page and get a network capture. And the point attention needs to attention here is we need to disable it and enable it again. Make sure we can get the zip message of the register. And here we just stop it. And after click the stop, the browser will just download by itself. Sorry, I didn't have the Wireshark. Let me check it. Okay, and we can filter this zip message to check the register message here. And we can find here is a standard register message, zip message. Okay, let's get back to the PowerPoint. Next default will be the E1 port, and not or like flashing. The E1 port indicator not on or not flashing. This means the or we can say the E1 cable connection is tight. And the second, we need to swap the transmit and the receive line on MTG side. And third, we need to check the E1 line sequence standard. And we all know the E1 line for the RJ48 cable, and it's just similar with we all know the network cable, the RJ45s. So we need to check the E1 line sequence to check to make sure we get a correct E1 cable. And for the last, we need to check, we can do the safe loop test. Like we can, here we can introduce how to do the E1 safe loop test. Like if device have more than one E1 port, we just use a network cable. We use the E1 cable to connect to the two E1 ports. And like we just set the PRI, the PRI signaling, we just set it like this port will be the user side and this port will be the network side. And we can check the send frame or the receive frame to check the line established or not. And if only one E1 port, we can also do the set loop test. We need to make a self loop crystal head, connect the pin 1 and to 4, and pin second to 5. So then insert to the E1 port, and we just need to insert into one port. But how can we check we can directly check the indicator light turns normal or not, right? We have the indicator light. Okay, and next PRI link failure troubleshooting. It's just like we mentioned in the last training. We have so many the alarms, the LS alarms, which shows the red. And for this, we need to know each need to check the E1 line physically, and it may be the issue with the E1 line, the BNC adapter box. So the LS alarm, or we can say the red color alarm, is actually caused by the physically disconnected. And the second II alarm, it indicates the underlying E1 port of the device can't receive data from the other party. So it may be the issue with the E1 line. It's also we need to check it one by one. So we need to check the physically disconnected, and also we need to check the interface. And the third is the AIS alarm. So this type's alarm is usually caused by the other party, the remote side doesn't activate service. But for this alarm, we just meet not frequently. And the last ISDN SS7 alarm, it means the orange alarms. It means the link setup failed. And we all need to also need to check this one by one. So first, like we have a sequence to check. Like first, we need to check the E1 line physically, and we need to check like the clock source. And then we just check the E1 T1 parameters, like the frame formats. So just we need to check it one by one. Okay, and then S7 link failure is the same way with the PRI link failures. And we can find it also have the II alarms, the AIS alarms, and the ISDN SS7 alarm. But for the ISDN and SS7 signal alarm, we can find it's a little different. Here, we need also to check the SS7 trunk and the SS7 MTP link and the SS7 CIC. We all know that SS7 protocol consists of three types, right? Like the first is SS7 trunk, and the second is SS7 MTP link, and the SS7 CIC. And for the PRI, it's just a little simple. And we just need to check the frame format. Okay, let's move to the next part, the coding. And here we have the signaling call test. So when calls cannot be made normally, so we need to use the signaling call test for quick verification first. Like we can make a IP to PSTN calls test. And here is the steps. Okay, and it also as a maintenance page, we need to get into the signaling call test, and the source type, we just select the IP trunk. And we need also to fill in the calling number and the code number. And we just start test. And if the false rings and can answer, the trunk is normal. Here we can also like do a simple test here, the signaling code test, and we just and here we do a signaling code test, and we can find that my calling the local extension doesn't make the call, just called by the signaling code test. It also can make the call. Okay, next, we can analyze the SS7 call flow through the log. So SS7 call process, we can find there are 4 types call flow, like the ISUP, the IAMs, it means the MTG sends a call request, and the ACMs means the receive the remote ring back signal, and the ANMs, which means the call connected, and the REL, the release, it means the call disconnects the signal. So we can capture this message to judge which step is abnormal. And the PRI is a little different. We have the PRI call process. It have the 5 types of this command. It also have the setup, means the MTG sends the call request, and we can find it's just similar with the SS7 protocol. It's just a little different. Okay, let me just show you a demo about it. And like here, I created the SS7. I just make a call. And the call connect. And we download the signaling log in the text download. And we can check what code numbers we just dialed. I call these numbers. And we can find first is a gather invite from the UC. So this is UC IP. And we can also to filter the SS7 message. Here we can find MTG sends IAM. So it means call request. It means the MTG initiates the call. And it receives the ACM from the remote side. And the ANMs we can find it also receives the ANM. And it receives a IEL. It means receives a signal to disconnect the line. Sorry, but I just seemed like get the wrong number. Yes, these correct numbers. We send the IAMs and receive the SACMs and receive the ANMs. And here is the most important, we send the IL. It means we disconnect the call. It means our calling side disconnect the call. So from the signaling log, we can find who initiates the calls and who relates the calls. This is most important things. Okay, let's get back to the PowerPoint. And the PRI's corporate process is also the same way. So here we are gonna to just pass it. And the signaling code test from the PSTN actually it's the same way. We all know the signaling code test, right? And we can set it to the PSTN trunk as a source type, and also the SIP trunk. So it just means the call will originate from the PSTN side or IP side. And here we just mentioned here is a file log is a process to get a file log. Okay, let's move to the chapter 3. And the chapter 3 mainly solves the MTG web logins and login failures. And yes, just we need to get the corrected IP and the password. And here we can check when we cannot log in the web port, we need to check the web port. And also we need to get into the database. Let me just show you a simple demo here. We need to get into the database. What? We need to change another MTG. Seems the SS7, the SSH can't login. Let me check it. We need to check the manage parameters. Yes, it didn't get the access control. And here we get into the database and we can check the web page. First, we may need to turn off this log. Sorry, let me just reboot this. The log is hard to turn off. Okay, let's move to the ACLs. Oh, and here is another way about when we can't log in the MTG. It may be the ACL permission. We need to check the ACL restrictions. Also, we need to get into the telnet into the device, and we need to check the ACL command. And we have three types of the ACL command, like the ACL set and the ACL shoe and the ACL black shoe. So ACL black shoes, it can check the IP blacklist. So we can check whether our IP is blacked, is forbidden. And ACL show, we can check the current access permissions. It also can be checked in the web page. And the ACL set is just change the rule of this ACL rule, like the SSH, the telnet, these rules. And all this can be done in the web page. Okay, so let me just check it. Okay, first let me get into the telnet, and we get into the database. And here we can check the parameters of the database. Here is all the parameters in the database. And we can find the web port, the parameters is 239. Okay, so we just check it. Okay, here we can find the web server port is 80. It's a normal port, right? We all use this port in the daily lives. And also the ACL show. We need to get into the config mode. And here we can check the ACL, three types of the ACL command, the ACL shoe, the ACL black shoe, and we can find here is no forbidden IP. And the last command is the ACL set. And we can set in like the web ACL, the telnet, this option ACL. And also we can just access these ACL options in the network. In the here, we can also get this. The telnet will be more more complicated, but it's also more complex. Okay, that's all. Okay, we get all for the MTG troubleshooting training. And if you have any questions, just contact us.